don't have a Sara. Oh, she must be under an assumed name. She was staying in 2C. And they're like, we don't even have a 2C. If that don't bring chills, if that don't give you chills, Chris, if that don't light your fire, then your wood is wet, my friend. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Blood and Donuts. I am Tony.
And I'm Chris. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining.
Hell House, LLC, a 2015 American found footage horror film written and directed by Stephen Cognetti, produced by Joe Bandelli. The film, shot as a documentary, follows a group of Halloween haunted house creators as they prepare for the 2009 opening of their popular haunted attraction, Hell House. But then tragedy strikes on opening night when an unknown malfunction causes the death of just 15 tour goers and staff. The film reveals the lead up to this tragedy and what really went wrong that night, the details of which have remained a mystery to the public. Yeah, isn't that cool? That's a cool. Yeah. Chris, first off, I'm glad you're here, man. You got strep throat? Your whole family's sick?
Yeah.
Golly.
We're making it.
Man, he really loves y'all. He showed up for this. He really loves this film too. That's why he showed up for it, because of this Hell House LLC. This is our third
Definitely.
This is our third found footage film that we've done out of the 21 episodes. Yeah, we did
I'm not going to recommend any more found footage this year.
You can. I don't care. It is what it is.
You let it be known that you are sick and tired of found footage. Chris and his found footage crap every time.
I didn't say that. Found footage is a vibe, and there's some people out there who absolutely adore it. And the more that I dig into it, people love it. They love the actors that you just pull off the streets. They love dialogue that has nothing to do with the plot. They love getting dizzy from camera work and grainy cameras and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, we like Blair Witch Project. We were in 8th grade and we rated that one pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was really digging in the comments, and it was like, ooh, I'm glad this video, on YouTube has ads to break up the tension. And I was like, tension?
Yeah. Tension, huh?
Watch Blair Witch Project and then tell me about breaking up tension.
Yeah.
That's tension there.
Right.
It's a slow building tension too, but
yeah.
I couldn't find any harsh critics on this movie, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. Why? Because you wanted to be a harsh critic on this movie?
I'm not necessarily saying that. I mean, I can tell you a bunch of films that are better than this film.
Oh, really?
Footage film.
Yeah. With found footage, you run into a few things. First off, is why are they holding the camera and why are they still filming? Which Blair Witch Project, I think that's what you're aiming for in found footage, because I really feel like that's the gold standard. So first off, you need a good reason to hold the camera, and I'm going to give it to this film. They give a pretty good reason to hold the camera. He really enjoys they're setting up this haunted house. He really enjoys the fact that everything is documented. He's been doing it for a while. He wants to see what works, what doesn't work. There's some times where they have to do some test runs and stuff like that. So I mean, I see it. Where in VHS, like the dude puts on some glasses, like there's a camera in his glasses, and he's going to go pick up a chick from the bar, and they're going to I don't know.
Date rape and all that stuff, but yeah, I mean, the found footage trope, like you say, you do have to have a reason. They give a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity, they give a good reason. They just have it sitting there on the bed. Those.
But they want to make sure that this the supernatural stuff that's happening in this house is documented, so they don't look like crazy people, right?
Yeah.
And
right.
Paranormal Activity. So that's a pretty good reason too.
Yeah, for sure.
And another cool thing about found footage, it allows unknown directors with no, they don't have a big company behind them. with lots of money. So they get to come in and they get to be creative. And I can appreciate that as two creators who have zero money. And we could just buy some microphones and edit some YouTube videos and throw that up there. So kudos to Stephen Cognetti. I have never made a movie, and he made a movie, and he's made what, 3 or 4 of them. I mean, this is,
I think it's 4 now.
Yeah, and he's built quite a fan base. And my first impression, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that some of these scares in Hell House LLC were very well done.
I'll agree with that. I mean,
okay,
you can kind of see them, though,
very
right?
effective.
Yeah.
Did you
on some of them you can kind of see them, right? Like, hey, the clown, his head doesn't move, and so you kind of store that nugget later. Like, okay, his head's gonna move. Like I know
you did like, so when they were walking through and like the clown's just kind of standing up in the hallway. Like, I mean, that was kind of cool the first time. The first time you see the first run. I like the girl in his room the first time with the shadow, and then there's a girl. I'm talking about Paul, and then there's a girl sitting in his room, and he's like, and he peeks at her under the blankets, and then again, she keeps getting closer. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's like POV when you're 12 and the monsters are going to get you, and you're hiding under the sheets and you're peeking.
Absolutely.
That was really well done. That's probably the best scene for me.
Have a lot of money. They did what they did, and it's better than some horror movies out there who had a much bigger budget.
Yeah, absolutely. And I keep taking a crap on this movie, but Night Swim was awful. Yeah. And this movie's a lot better than Night.
A lot better than Night Swim. And again, there's a following for this movie. Stephen Cognetti left some mystery in here, whether you like it or not. I did not.
I didn't like it.
There was one part, like, we'll get to it a little bit later, but I was just like scratching my head. And maybe if you're a big fan of this franchise, you know what this is. I still could not find out what it was. I do have some facts, Chris. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Well, quick point before, and I'll follow up with my one fact that I have.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you roll into yours. But I went looking for the answer to the mystery.
Did you go on a quest?
One. I did. And I started watching the second movie.
Yeah.
And about 10 minutes in, I found myself Googling, is Hell House 2 for real?
Chris, is it that bad?
I'm not kidding, Tony.
Which one is that? Is that the Abaddon Hotel one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Go watch the first 10 minutes of that. And now that's not affecting my ranking on this movie.
Okay.
But I want to kind of finish this story, maybe offline, maybe off the podcast, just to kind of know and have some closure. But I wasn't thrilled with the first 10 minutes of the second one.
Okay.
And my one fact in this movie, and it's a pretty well-known fact, I think, the actor Paul, when they're testing strobe lights in the hallway, he actually runs out of the room and throws up, and that throw up is real.
That's cool.
I mean, he got like so worked up in the character and in the moment that he like just barfed right there. And they filmed it. And
that's really cool. I like that. I have that this film was shot at a real haunted house attraction in Layton, Pennsylvania, called The Haunting at the Waldorf Hotel. This haunt did take over an abandoned hotel, just like in the movie. We need to go to Pennsylvania and go to that haunted house, huh? How cool would that be?
Hey, do you remember Night Fright? That was a good one.
Man, where was that? Indiana?
I think it was Ohio. We were going up to Kings Island or something. And that's a kind of scare that you love because it's kind of a small group.
It's kind of like this thing.
Tour as you walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's, they're just kind of shuttling people through.
Chris and I, we went to Ohio to go to Kings Island, and our hotel room, this is when we were teenagers, and his mom took us up to Ohio to go to Kings Island to ride some roller coasters. The hotel was right next to a haunted attraction, and it was like a yearly haunted attraction.
Year round.
Yeah. And like in Tennessee, we've never seen that. We've only seen the ones that pop up around late September all the way to October 31st. But we were like, oh, we're doing it. And like before we went in, they said, well, hold up, let us get ready. They had actors on site ready to go, and it was one of the best ones that we had ever been through, we talked about that for years. So just get that out of the way. We love haunted attractions. We love haunted houses. We used to go to 5, 6, 7. I mean, we would spend all of our money on haunted houses when we were younger.
You would leave me messages pretending to be the guy in the costume in the front of the attraction.
Yes.
Like, hey, you guys were making fun of me.
Man.
You were hilarious, but
that's fun.
very funny. Good memories.
We'd be getting ready. We button up our plaid Tommy Hilfiger shirts, get our K-Swiss, our white K-Swisses, our silver chains.
Our socks were folded down.
Oh man, just perfect. Yeah, you don't want to see any socks. You want the socks to be no show. I mean, we were looking good, man. And spray on some Nautica cologne, and we were good to go, right? Stephen Cognetti is uncredited in this movie, but he plays the cameraman with the tour group in the main sequence of the film. The eye trick that Joey does in the movie, that's his actual eyeball. He has it between his finger, and he warns you and he warns others not to try that. This movie was released on my birthday, November 8th, 2015.
Nice.
I like that. Let's see. Did you see that the inspiration for this was from Lake Mungo, which is a found footage Australian, I believe, found footage film.
Well, if it's Australian, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. What's crazy is the day before we were set to record this, Dead Meat came out with a video, exploring all the kills, and the video is very well done, where he goes into depth of that movie, which is so crazy because I was like, man. But I guess there's a new sequel coming out, or it just came out, so it
just came out.
Yeah, so it's really getting that conversation started about the origins of this, and that's Hell House LLC 2015. Chris, why don't you go ahead and get into your rating?
So pros, I love the concept. Documentary on setting up a haunt. I think there was a similar movie, The House That October Built. They did that one pretty well too. Similar vibes with that one. Not the same thing though. The main actors I thought were very good. All the 5 or 6 workers in the house, I thought they did great. Cons, the documentary part of it where they're like interviewing people, I thought that was pretty poor. And there's a lot of choppy editing. The acting wasn't great on the documentary side, and then they had like sad documentary music, and I'm like, they could have done so much better with that. It was really confusing to me. So for my rating, I don't really know why everyone is on this movie's nuggets. In terms of found footage, it's not Blair Witch. I liked Paranormal Activity better. I might even like VHS better. There's one that we didn't mention, Grave Encounters. That's a found footage about a ghost hunting crew. It's pretty well done. I'm going to give this a mid-tier 6 out of 13. I just thought it could have been a lot better. There are some positives, but I think there's just a few more negatives for me. So it's a 6 out of 13 for me.
6 out of 13. Crazy. Hell House LLC initially gives off a cheaply made vibe, but I feel like it successfully delivers some spine-chilling scares with its unique storyline. The movie centers around a haunted house attraction that has gone awry, and despite some noticeable flaws, I think it manages to be both entertaining and rewatchable. One of the commendable aspects of Hell House is its attempt to develop each character involved in running this haunted house. I like that. This is going to add depth to the narrative. It allows viewers to form some type of connection to these characters, making when the horror happens, you actually feel something. I like the idea of a team navigating the challenges of managing a haunted house attraction. I know it's been done before. I just don't remember where. The film cleverly uses the setting to its advantage, creating an eerie atmosphere that enhances the overall experience. The scares are well placed. The found footage format really helps it as well. The movie does not. The movie has its drawbacks. The story tends to jump around, especially towards the end, which can be really disorienting. Trying to piece it all together. It does redeem itself a little bit with the surprise ending that adds an intriguing layer to the overall plot. it kind of embraces its sloppiness. The scares seem to play into it. It has imperfections in the production. It gives an unsettling nature to the film. I gave it a 6 out of 13 as well. I did not think that it was. It's not my favorite found footage film. Like I some of those scares were good. I want to say, like, I don't understand why everybody's holding this on such a high pedestal. I like it took me a minute to kind of get into it. You're right. I pushed play and I was like, oh, it's a found footage. Oh, it's not that well done either. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like up until when they're on the car ride up and you're getting the actors. I was like this this kind of sucks. The interview and stuff. I did like the YouTube video. They were like, did you, I don't know. They're like, what happened at Hell House? Watch the YouTube video. So I thought the YouTube video was well done, but you're right. The documentary aspects of it were kind of shoddy. They're not my favorite. 6. Yeah. We both gave it a 6 out of 13. I can show you on my notes where I gave it a 6 before. I know you and I, we don't show notes, so we don't know what they're going to give it. I don't want him to think that I copied. Sometimes I just want to change it when we have the same score. I want to change it just so you don't think that I ripped off your score. But anyway.
Right. No, we're not too far off most of the time.
Yeah. What do you say we spoil this thing?
Let's do it, man.
Here's the spoils. This film is presented as a documentary investigating an unexplained accident at an abandoned hotel in the town of Abaddon in Rockland County, New York, that was set up as a haunted house. 15 people, including the first group of attendees and the member of the Hell House company that opened the attraction, died in what authorities decreed as an unknown malfunction.
Unknown malfunction. So yeah, the YouTube video is pretty choppy, but they're kind of just funneling people through. There's like a bar. They walk through like a dirty bathroom and crap, and then everybody's trying to shuttle down into this cellar basement.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose. But in the beginning is where we kind of touched on it. It's really just confusing. The documentary. They have documentaries like that on Netflix now, and they're like really well done.
Yeah.
If you have a movie now, again, maybe the budget wasn't there,
right?
But there was one of the actors in the documentary part that actually did a good job. I don't remember his name or anything. He's the guy that just snuck in and took a few pictures and left. He kind of carried those scenes for me. Everybody else was kind of,
Yeah. Like if you go back and look at the interviews at the beginning of Blair Witch Project, to me those were very highly effective. Like that woman and her son or daughter and the old man, and they're telling tales of the Blair Witch Project. I mean, they're just they're caught off guard by the interview a little bit. They're a little taken aback, which I understand. This is like a 60 minutes type interview. This is like a maybe like a documentary news type, but I just feel like those guys could have done better. And so it took me a minute to get into it. I feel like, are we splitting hairs with this? Is that what people are going to say? Like, God, these guys are splitting hairs. But I mean, I just put it in. It just took me a minute, So they show this YouTube video of this. First off, they hired over 100 extras. I saw that to film this opening night sequence. So you have these people and they're going through this haunted attraction, and like Chris said, things go awry in the basement. The tour stops because everybody's trying to run back up. But at one point you see a girl exit, and they go, is that supposed to be part of the attraction?
Yeah, you see the clown.
And then you see a clown.
Joey the clown run by.
Run by too. And they're like, is that part of the attraction as well? So you see the girl, and who is later revealed as Sara. And then you have Joey the clown who runs out. And and so you just have to put those in your bank and think about when that's going to happen, later as far as that goes, because they do answer those questions. The characters, you have Sara, who is Alex's girlfriend. And she sits down for an interview later. And she's in the interview. She drops by and she's acting a little bit different than she is on the tapes that she brings with her, because the bulk of this film comes from these tapes that Sara brings to the interviewee who is doing the documentary. You have Alex Taylor, who is the mastermind of this thing, and he's like the boss of everybody, and he's kind of almost to his detriment. He seems like he's a little bit he doesn't want to see the things around him, kind of guy.
Yeah,
almost like he's got something else going on. You got Tony Prescott. He's the electrician. He's the one who gets the lights on. He's also the one who gets the cameras up and rolling, right?
Paul.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the camera guy, documentary.
And he's also there just to be
the one who's holding the camera most of the time, I think.
Just to be a jerk. He's just a jerk. And so we got Mac, who is Alex's best friend. Kind of just like the assistant, the other guy, Paul is such a jerk in this that when they're actually seeing ghosts on the screen, they're like, so what'd you do, Paul? They're still just they're just so unbelievable. Like, he's just like such a jerk. Like, at one point, doesn't he disappear for a couple of days? And they're like that. Remember when he disappeared for a few days when we were doing
typical Paul. Just so typical for him to bail 2 days before we open.
Oh man. And he's just he's a really horny dude too. So when he's holding the camera, he's always talking about chicks and well,
he's also when he comes face to face with someone who's clearly not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Like in one of his bedroom scenes, he's just like, "Hey man, you good?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll talk to you later. And then it just cuts to the next day.
I like that. Are you good? Are you good? He thought it was Sara.
I guess.
Didn't he say that?
Sara, he'd be trying to get her in bed.
Yeah, that's true. Or maybe he's not as bad as we think.
He's the good guy. He's the hero.
He had some boundaries there. The documentary crew, led by producer Diane Graves, interview people familiar with this case, and they find rumors of something supernatural behind the tragedy. The crew tracks down the sole surviving member of the Hell House staff, Sara, who provides them with footage shot in the lead up to the tragedy. Doo-doo-doo. Yes.
Yeah, isn't she the one that's probably highly sought out by police and they would really want to speak to her, but then she just goes to a journalist and then they set her down in what looks like a interrogation room too. It was really, I couldn't tell if it was a police interview or if it was a part of the
I at first I couldn't understand, and but it all came together in the end. Obviously, they're at a hotel, so they're just probably in just a little conference room, and they set this interview up, and she brought it. But I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, that's evidence, and you're going to jail. That's what you're thinking. You're just you aiding and abetting. I mean, you are going to jail for a long time, and probably so is this documentary person. Those need to go straight to the police. But so we find out later why she has the tapes and why she's not going to jail. They go through these tapes, and that's what you're kind of piecing together. Does that make that more believable for you, Chris, the found footage?
No, I mean, I do like when they kind of tell a bit of the story and then they show a bit of the tape. You know, that makes sense. But then don't freeze frame on the ghost and then rewind it and show it to me. It was almost like it was hand holding me.
I like
hey,
that.
Did you see that ghost in the corner?
They just want to let you know at that point, Chris, they just want to let you know that you need to be looking for these things, okay?
Yeah, but I already was looking for them.
Hey, you need to be looking. I know. It was a little bit. I was like, why did they just do that? It was like a cloaked guy in the corner, right? Like a cloaked man.
Yeah.
And so at the end you find some cloaks, some cloaky guys, and they come out. So that's the first cloak guy that we see. I do like I said earlier, I do like them in the car, they're driving up and they're kind of they're telling you they're wise, and I do like those actors. I think they did a very well job, and they were believable as far as we had an attraction in New York City, and they were like, let's not talk about. I thought we said we're not going to talk about Queens, but then when they're sitting around the bar there at the hotel, and these they're making fun of they had an actor who was Satan, and he was he had a very thick New York accent, and what was he saying? I forget.
Yeah. He's like, I am Lucifer. Or something.
I am Lucifer. I mean, I thought that was kind of funny. I like that.
I mean, there were some good comic relief points in there.
Hapless tapes document the company's arrival at the Abaddon Hotel as they set it up for Halloween. Each employee experiences unexplainable events, but Alex, the CEO of the company, is determined to open the attraction. Let's stop right there. So some of the things that they see, mainly it starts with Paul, right? And the first real big scare, is it the clown moving, or is it the shadowy girl in his room?
The shadowy girl in his room is not really a scare. It's more of a what the hell was that kind of thing, but it wasn't like a jump scare. The first good jump scare, if you will, is the clown after. No, it's before they set up the strobe lights and stuff.
Oh, okay.
He's just kind of walking through. He's looking at the spider hallway. He's going through the cafe.
Yeah.
And he sees the clown standing there, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he thinks it's Tony or something.
Yeah.
And then he looks down the stairs, and then when he looks back, the clown is looking at him.
Right. And they make it very apparent when they're setting up, these dummies' heads don't move, so they like kind of like pull on it a little bit. So yeah. And another
they don't want to waste a good mask on a dummy that can't move his head or something like that.
Yeah. That's true. And another fun fact about that is so typically it's either Tony or Alex, those actors who played those two guys, wearing that costume at any number of times. It's not a dummy, so it's an actual person. So I thought that was really cool.
Nice, that's a good one.
Yeah. So things start happening. They all kind of witness this a little bit, especially when there's a tape. But again, they just kind of throw that away to it being Paul and his antics.
You're crazy. I like you, but you're crazy.
The footage suggests the hotel may have been the site of a satanic cult. Despite the disturbances, the Hell House group dismisses the activity, and they open the attraction anyway. So when they're opening this hotel, they get there and it's in shambles. They go down to the basement, and there's like this satanic star like drawn on top of the on a wall, and there's a bunch of Bibles all around. And they're just like, oh man, yeah, oh look, half the work is already done for us.
Because that's what you'd be saying. You wouldn't be getting out of there or tearing down that stuff.
Yeah. So they're getting settled in. They're interviewing new hires. One who kind of like talks about the history of the place.
I think it's the girl. I don't remember her name, but she's the one who's going to be chained up downstairs in the basement.
That sounds like a great idea. Let's just chain a half naked lady and just like one key. And
give the one key to the Joey, the bouncer clown, who's also down there with him.
Oh my God. I would be like, no, I'm not doing that. I will hold my hands up like I am chained.
Right. It's crazy because she's trying to tell Alex and Paul. I think Alex is kind of interviewing her.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you haven't heard about this place? It's it's haunted." And Alex is really just adamant that none of that. It's just rumors.
Yeah.
It's almost like overdone a little bit in that section, but you get what they're trying to do. He knows about the past, but he doesn't want his employees to know.
Yeah. So the hotel owner and operator, he tried to start a satanic cult type of deal. Tried to
watch the Origins movie.
Tried to open up a gate to hell there in the basement of the thing. Anyway, some guests went missing, like a woman and her daughter, and so the police came after him. He ended up having to close the hotel, and then he hung himself or something like that.
It sounds right. We'll have to watch the Origins to find out.
Oh my. The dummy that can't move their head. We talked about that. At one point, they do a strobe light run through with Paul, and this is where he throws up.
Yeah, I do like that, where they're like, "Hey, we're gonna run a test, make sure everything's okay." You can see kind of two dummies, and then you see flashes of like a third.
Yeah.
And then he starts to freak out, and he's trying to get let out of this hallway.
Yeah.
So I thought that was okay. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, you could again though, you could kind of see it. You
Yeah.
kind of knew, okay, strobe lights in a hallway.
Yeah.
Something's gonna happen.
That's low budget. You gotta do what you gotta do. I was like looking, and I was like I was looking at the attraction. Like I thought it was effective because I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, is that the attraction or is that a ghost? You know. So I'm like trying to look.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, oh, okay, there it is. There it is. But I wouldn't say it was scary. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say I was just like, oh gosh. I thought that the scariest part for me was the blankets. You know, like you said, like the little girl was in his room, and typically they go away when you look when you pull the blankets back up, but she kept getting closer and closer and closer, and yeah,
she's like a cat when you're teasing a cat.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like,
yeah,
it's creeping up on you.
yeah. So I thought that was one of the best, and a couple of the clowns, just like out of nowhere type. Those were good.
Yeah, and I think also in this whole grouping, while we're just unpacking this part of the movie,
Yeah,
they have that field scene, right? Isn't this about when that happens? Or
Sure.
is that later?
yeah. So
You know, and they just sit down and they're like, hey, you know, we got to stay for Alex, and then they don't say it on camera, but then when the camera cuts back to him, they're like, yeah, you're right, we got to stay. We
yeah.
got to stay for Alex.
You
And I'm
got
like,
you got Tony and Andrew or McNamara. They're out there in the field, and Paul's already gone at this point, and they're just out there. And I think Tony is trying to call Mac back. You know, he's trying, hey man, you can't go. I need you, and all this stuff. And he goes, "This is why we have to." And then he goes, and it just kind of like cuts the scene. And dude's like, "Yeah, you're right. I can't go." And I'm guessing it's because Alex sold his soul to the devil himself. I really have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I was assuming, I just assumed at that point that they didn't need this scene because I thought that this is what they banked on. You know, this is their livelihood. They just uprooted everything. They make money once a year, and it's on a haunted attraction. And they're really making a big, huge gamble on this one. They rented out this thing, or they bought it, or whatever they did, and they're going to make it into an attraction. This is all of their money. This is all of their livelihood, and everything, their whole entire year hinges on if this attraction works or not. That's why I don't think they needed the field scene. You know what I mean? I mean, that was enough to keep most of them there, right?
yeah, it was already established that they were uprooted, and when they were heading there,
Yeah.
you know, and they were sitting at the bar talking, and they were like, yeah, this is it. This is going to work. It's going to they didn't need the field scene.
Yeah.
It's be something as lame as finances or whatever it is in the later movies if they explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We did miss one part. There is a part where Sara is just standing praying, talking backwards, like almost like satanic, like a satanic prayer type of thing next to the wall.
Yeah, that's when they finally, the other people actually see the clown in action besides just Paul. Because at this point, Paul was incapacitated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He was kind of out of it. And then they were like, either Tony or Andrew had picked up the camera, and then they go downstairs, see Sara, like you said, talking backwards, wake her up. And then they look down the hall, and the clown is, you know, shifted to a different place.
Yeah. Sara, who is interviewed by the documentary crew in a nearby hotel, asks for a break from filming. She tells Diane that she will be in her hotel room 2C. Da-da-da.
Or that little nugget.
Yeah. So Sara, she's like, I gotta go take a dump. I need to lay down. Like, I need something to eat. I need some crackers or something. I'll be in 2C if you need me. And the crew's like, yeah, that's fine. And then at this point, like, Sara gets up and she suggests to the crew, have you been to the Abaddon Hotel? And she's like, no. Why don't you go break in? Why not? You know, she kind of like said
a little punk about
yeah,
it.
yeah. Why are you like you over here doing this documentary when you can go in and see it for yourself? What are you waiting on? So then, like, that gives them enough courage to like, hey, they're like, you're like, Sarah's right. We should go over there and see this for ourselves.
Why didn't we think of this all the years we've lived here?
Yeah. So they go downstairs, and Diane, she's like, hey, to the hotel receptionist, she goes, hey, if Sarah's looking for us, tell her that that we headed over to the Abaddon Hotel. She should be in 2C. And then, oh my goodness, the lady goes, "We don't have a Sara." Oh, she must be under an assumed name. She was staying in 2C. And they're like, "We don't even have a 2C." If that don't bring chills, if that don't give you chills, Chris, if that don't light your fire, then your wood is wet, my friend. I mean, that was good. Diane and her cameraman, they decide to visit the Abaddon Hotel site. Mitchell, a member of the documentary film crew, he stays behind to catalog Sara's footage. He's on it. I mean, like these 30 million hours of footage, like he's getting it all together in like 45 minutes. He sees something that deeply disturbs him, but it's hidden from the audience. And he's trying to call Diane, but he can't get through.
Is it hidden from the audience though?
No, we see it.
I mean,
we see it. It shows that Sara is a dead person. She was killed, right? She was killed on video by Paul himself.
And then
Then he killed himself. Crazy.
That's
crazy.
What happened, movie.
Tony, he dies down in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
There is a pit from hell that opens up and sucks the lady in chains. What's her name? I forget her name. I don't know. But the girl down there, half scantily clad, chained up. She gets sucked down to hell. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Especially in those cellars.
Yeah, and then Alex, just like the owner of the previous hotel, hangs himself upstairs in the attic, I believe. So you kind of find all that. And then Sara, we find out that she's dead and Paul's dead.
All dead.
They're all dead.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I do like when they are going through the hotel and you can kind of see the key places. You could see the bar that they were talking. You could see the kitchen. They were talking stuff. You can see the hallway and all that kind of fun stuff.
I like that.
As they're walking through. In this
I like that
bar.
too. Yeah, that is really cool. And like even when they said I like that, you said that photographer broke in and took some pictures, and it showed like smeared blood on the wall and smeared blood on the floor. It looked like a Dateline episode photo, so that looked legit. You know.
Yeah.
When it just kind of showed, and he had one picture of the basement, but he's smart, so he didn't go down there because he's not a freaking idiot. Yeah.
He made it out, apparently.
Yeah, he did. Diane and her cameraman break in and see the aftermath of what unfolded that night. They go to the second floor. They see a room labeled 2C. That same room that Sara said she was staying in. There's even like a triangle of light on 2C. Do you remember? It was like the wind, like a hole in the wall or something where light could shine through just to get right on that 2C. They wanted to make sure that you saw that. So when they entered the room, there's Sara sitting with her back to them.
Hey, hang on real quick.
Yeah.
I rewatched this movie this morning to see if I was missing anything about this whole thing. And the camera guy, he's the one that makes sense in this whole duo. He's like, I'm not going into freaking 2C. Are you crazy? He's like, I didn't come in here to do that. She's like, well, I did. And then she like knocks off the latch and like barges in. And then as you see Sara sitting there, it's like, really, it was also some not great acting there.
She's brave. She's got a documentary. She knows that this thing's going to put her on the map. She's going into 2C and she's going down to the basement. She's going like he wouldn't go to the basement at first. Like he wouldn't go there. He did go up to the attic with her. But yeah, you're right. He was like, I don't want to do this. They see Sara. She's sitting there with her back to him. Diane, her cameraman, they try to flee, but they're attacked by a ghoulish Sara and other ghostly figures. Half of her face is missing, Chris, and it's bloody.
Yeah, it's pretty bloody. You'd have to just kind of nope it on out of there right after you see the 2C. Jump out a freaking window or something.
Yeah.
But I'm not sticking around for that. No.
I would. Call me old-fashioned. No, it's revealed
Give
that...
me an old-fashioned and I'll watch you go into 2C.
There you go. It's revealed that Mitchell saw... What he saw was a possessed member of Hell House killing Sara. She has long since died the whole time that they had been speaking to her, and there were in fact no survivors.
Eesh.
Ooh.
So again, why are they just now breaking into the hotel? They could have done it a long time ago. All it took was a little ghostly courage from Sara.
Sometimes that's all it takes is a little ghostly courage. We all need a little ghostly courage. So Sara was a dead person this entire time. That's the clever twist on the end of this.
How'd you feel about it, though? How'd you feel about the twist?
I liked it. I
did you see it coming?
I did not see it coming. I did not see that she was dead. So when she was like sitting, when I saw the 2C, I was like, oh, she's dead. You know what I mean? Like I knew at that point, but I didn't. When she was sitting there doing the interview, I was like, man, she's really messed up from this experience, because when it goes back and they're going through the footage, she looks like a very lively, fun person. And then throughout that footage, she kind of turns into a very, very like disturbed individual who doesn't say much.
Yeah, because there's even a part where she's out there and they're in a field or something, and she's like out there just looking at a statue and talking to it.
Yeah, like it was a statue of
We
Mary.
didn't touch on that.
Yeah, there's a statue of Mary, and they're like, Sarah, and she's kind of in a trance kind of thing, like she was getting taken over, by this thing. I probably would have, leading up to. There were so many times where I was like, man, I would stay at a hotel. I would not stay there. Like Paul and them like staying in this house with their mattresses on the floor and the asbestos everywhere. And just like, I mean, it's just hard to believe that they would do this, but I guess they really did sell everything. On the whole, as far as found footage, I disagree. VHS is good. Is better than this at times, but this is better than most of the small segments in VHS. But my favorite segment was the last one of VHS, and I think that was yours too. When they're running through that lady is tied up and she's possessed. Yeah. This reminds me of that. This reminds me of the best segment from VHS, where they're running through a haunted house, a house that's coming alive, and you're seeing haunts. Now, the only thing, they use CGI in the VHS one, so there was hands coming out and stuff. Mm-hmm. So this one just had people in costumes, just kind of stepping out, ghoulish figures and stuff like that. But I thought it was effective at times. Again, it's a low budget. Cognetti did a good job with what he had. I feel like, again, he made a pretty good movie and I bet he didn't spend much at all, doing this. And I think that's very impressive. And it's a cool trope. I like the haunted attraction and I like the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll finish the saga that is Hell House, apparently. Yeah. Probably off podcast. I don't know if we'll do all the other ones and stuff.
I doubt. I might be wrong, but I doubt that that the other ones could capture the magic that this one did. It's hard to count. Like sometimes you like. I think the reason audiences like this and that this has such a fan base is because they have the feeling that they discovered something. And you know what I mean? Like they're the only ones who know it. And because this is a relatively unknown movie, it just recently went to Amazon Prime. It's on Tubi. You can get it free on YouTube, but I think it's relatively unknown for a long time. So like when you talk to people, not a whole lot of people till recently. I mean, again, Dead Meat just came out with a kill count for it. So this thing is it might even blow up even more. So I feel like people who like this movie, they felt like they were in like a club, and and they had something special. And I think it's a good movie. It's not horrible. And I would I'd recommend it to anybody who likes found footage. Found footage. I'm just not the biggest fan of found footage.
Yeah, I mean, go real quick before we exit on out of here. If you go and watch VHS 2, there are some good ones in that are better than I would say 2 is better than 1.
Oh,
But I don't know that you're going to get that here with a sequel, in this style.
Yeah.
Whereas VHS is just random different short stories.
Yeah.
This has a path that it needs to follow, and you have to, it's going to have lore and all that. So it's just one story, whereas VHS could be many different stories. So VHS 2 is good. Go check that out. But yeah, again, I'll watch these offline.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you will too, and we'll talk about them. And maybe, maybe the last one that just released in October is a banger, and we need to catch up.
Absolutely.
Who knows?